The door creaked. A whisper in the dead of night. And my heart stopped. I sat up in bed, the darkness of my Brooklyn apartment swallowing all but the faint glow of the city outside. Then I saw him, Elliot, my brother-in-law, standing in the doorway, his silhouette a forbidden promise that sent my pulse racing. Nathan, that's me, 25, a graphic designer scraping by in a city that never sleeps. I'd always been the quiet one, the one who kept his head down, his secrets locked tight. But that night, 2 years ago, everything I'd buried came clawing to the surface. Elliot, my sister Clara's husband, wasn't supposed to be here. He was supposed to be across town, in their perfect brownstone, living their perfect life. Yet there he was, his broad shoulders filling the frame of my bedroom door, his hazel eyes glinting with something dangerous, something I'd seen flicker in stolen glances over family dinners. "Why are you here?" I whispered, my voice barely steady. The air felt thick, charged, like the moment before a storm breaks. Elliot stepped forward, closing the door behind him with a soft click. "I can't stop thinking about you, Nathan," he said, his voice low, raw, like he'd been fighting the words for months. "I know it's wrong. I know it's a betrayal. But I can't keep pretending. I should have told him to leave. I should have screamed, called Clara, done anything to stop the gravity pulling us together. But my body betrayed me, leaning toward him, drawn to the heat of his confession. We were two magnets, opposite poles, destined to collide. The first time I met Elliot was at Clara's engagement party, a rooftop affair in Manhattan with fairy lights and too much champagne. He was 27, a lawyer with a disarming smile and a way of making everyone feel seen. I just come out to my family, my heart still raw from their mixed reactions, Clara's fierce support, Mom's hesitant acceptance, Dad's silence. Elliot, though, looked at me that night like he saw every piece of me, the ones I showed the world and the ones I hid. I brushed it off as wishful thinking. He was straight, married to my sister, untouchable. But over the months, the glances grew longer, the conversations deeper, the accidental touches electric. Now, in my room, the line we'd danced around for a year was blurring. "Elliot, you're married," I said, my voice cracking. "To my sister." "I know," he said, running a hand through his dark hair, his wedding band glinting in the moonlight. "But I've never felt this way about anyone. Not even her." The words hit like a punch. Guilt and desire twisted inside me, a storm I couldn't outrun. I stood, my bare feet cold against the hardwood, closing the distance between us. "What are we doing?" I asked, my breath catching as his hand grazed my arm. "I don't know," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "But I can't walk away from this." Not anymore. The air in my apartment felt heavier, like it was holding its breath. Elliot's hand lingered on my arm, his touch warm and deliberate, sending shivers down my spine. I wanted to push him away, to cling to the moral high ground, but my heart screamed louder than my conscience. "Tell me to stop," he said, his eyes searching mine, desperate and vulnerable. "Tell me this is a mistake, and I'll leave." But I didn't. I couldn't. Instead, I stepped closer, our faces inches apart, the heat of his breath mingling with mine. "What happens if we don't stop?" I asked, my voice trembling with the weight of the question. He didn't answer with words. His lips found mine, tentative at first, then hungry, like a dam breaking after years of restraint. The kiss was fire and regret, a collision of everything we'd suppressed. My hands found his shoulders, pulling him closer, and for a moment, the world outside my tiny bedroom ceased to exist. There was only us, tangled in a truth we couldn't deny. But reality has a way of crashing in. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, Clara's name lighting up the screen. We froze, the spell shattered. Elliot pulled back, his face pale, his breathing uneven. "I shouldn't have come," he said, but he didn't move toward the door. I grabbed the phone, silencing it, my heart pounding. "She can't know," I said, the words tasting like ash. "This would destroy her." Elliot nodded, but his eyes were still locked on mine, filled with a longing that mirrored my own. "I don't want to hurt her," he said, "but I don't know how to live without this, without you." The weight of his words settled over me, heavy and suffocating. I thought of Clara, my fierce, kind sister who'd always been my rock. She didn't deserve this. But neither did I deserve to bury my heart to keep her happy. Torn between love and loyalty, I felt like I was drowning. "Let's just slow down," I said, stepping back, trying to reclaim some control. "We need to think about this." Elliot looked like he wanted to argue, but he nodded. "Okay. But I'm not giving up on us. Nathan." "I can't." He left as quietly as he'd come, the door clicking shut behind him. I sank onto my bed, my lips still tingling from his kiss, my mind a war zone of guilt and desire. Sleep didn't come that night. Instead, I replayed every moment, every word, wondering how we'd let ourselves fall this far. The next morning, Clara called, her voice bright and oblivious. "Hey, Nate, you free for dinner tonight?" Elliot's cooking his famous lasagna. Her laughter was a knife in my chest. I mumbled an excuse, claiming a deadline, but the truth was I couldn't face her. Not yet. Days turned into weeks, and I avoided Elliot like a coward. But he was relentless. Texts, calls, showing up at my favorite coffee shop in Williamsburg like it was fate. Each encounter chipped away at my resolve. I started noticing things I hadn't before. The way his smile softened when he looked at me. The way his hand lingered when he passed me a drink. I was falling, and I hated myself for it. The tension between us grew like a wildfire, impossible to ignore. One night, at a family barbecue in Clara's backyard, I caught Elliot's gaze across the lawn. He was flipping burgers, laughing with my dad, but his eyes were on me, burning with unspoken promises. I excused myself, retreating to the guest room, needing air, needing space. Moments later, he followed. "Nathan, we need to talk," he said, closing the door behind him. The room felt too small, his presence too big. "There's nothing to say," I lied, my back against the wall, literally and figuratively. "This can't happen. It's already happening," he said, stepping closer. "You feel it too. I see in your eyes." He was right, and I hated him for it. I hated how he saw through me, how he made me feel alive in a way I never had. "What do you want from me?" "Elliot," I snapped, my voice low but sharp. "To ruin your marriage? To break Clara's heart?" His face fell, guilt flashing across his features. "I don't know how to fix this," he admitted. "But I know I love you." And I think you love me too. The word love hung between us, a grenade with the pin pulled. I wanted to deny it, to scream that he was wrong. But the truth was a weight I couldn't shake. I did love him, and it was tearing me apart. Before I could respond, the door swung open. Clara stood there, her smile faltering as she took in the scene. Elliot too close. My face flushed, the air thick with tension. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice tight. "Nothing," I said too quickly, my heart hammering. Elliot stayed silent, his jaw clenched. She looked between us, her eyes narrowing. "You've been weird lately, Nate. Both of you. What's going on?" I scrambled for a lie, but my mind was blank. Elliot stepped in, his voice calm but strained. "Just catching up. Clara. You know how it is." She didn't buy it. I could tell. But she nodded, forcing a smile. "Dinner's ready," she said, turning away. The door closed, but the damage was done. Suspicion had taken root. That night, I lay awake, replaying Clara's expression, the hurt in her eyes. I knew we couldn't keep this up. Something had to give. Either we stopped, or we confessed, and both options felt like losing. The next few weeks were a tightrope walk. I threw myself into work, taking on extra freelance projects to avoid family gatherings. But Elliot was a ghost I couldn't escape. He'd text me late at night. Simple messages like, "I miss you," or "Can we talk?" Each one was a dagger, pulling me back to that night in my room. One evening, I broke. I agreed to meet him at a quiet bar in the East Village, far from anyone we knew. He was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth, his dark jacket slung over the seat, his eyes lighting up when he saw me. "I can't keep doing this," I said, sliding into the booth. "The guilt is killing me." He reached for my hand under the table, his touch grounding me even as it burned. "I know," he said, "but I can't let you go, Nathan." I've tried. We talked for hours, unraveling our feelings, our fears. He told me about his marriage, how he'd loved Clara once, but felt trapped in a life that wasn't his. I told him about my loneliness, the years I'd spent hiding who I was, afraid of losing my family. For the first time, I felt seen, not just as Clara's brother or the quiet artist, but as me. But the bar wasn't a bubble. A colleague of Clara's spotted us, her eyes lingering too long. By the next day, rumors were swirling. Clara called me, her voice shaking. "Nathan, someone saw you with Elliot last night." What the hell is going on? I froze, my throat tight. "It was just a drink," I lied, hating myself. "We're friends, Clara. Friends don't sneak around," she snapped. "I'm not stupid. Tell me the truth." I couldn't. "Not yet." I mumbled another excuse and hung up, my hand shaking. Elliot called minutes later, panic in his voice. "She knows something," he said. "We have to tell her." "No," I said, my voice sharp. "Not like this. It'll break her." But the truth was a tide we couldn't hold back. Claire started watching us, her questions sharper, her trust fraying. I saw the pain in her eyes at every family dinner, the way she clung to Elliot like she was afraid he'd slip away. And he was slipping away to me. One night, I found myself at their brownstone, dropping off a book Clara had lent me. Elliot answered the door, his shirt untucked, his hair a mess. "She's not here," he said, but his eyes begged me to stay. I stepped inside, against my better judgment. We didn't touch, didn't speak, just sat on the couch, the silence heavy with everything we couldn't say. Then he leaned in, and I didn't pull away. The kiss was softer this time, more desperate, like we were stealing moments from a world that wouldn't let us have them. The affair deepened, a secret we couldn't quit. Stolen moments in my apartment, late-night calls, fleeting touches at family events. Each one was a high, followed by a crash of guilt. I loved Elliot, but I hated what we were doing to Clara. She was my sister, my confidant, the one who'd fought for me when I came out. Betraying her felt like betraying myself. One evening, everything unraveled. Clara showed up at my apartment unannounced, her face a mask of anger and hurt. "I found texts on Elliot's phone," she said, her voice breaking. "From you." The world tilted. I opened my mouth, but no words came. She stepped closer, tears streaming down her face. "How could you?" "Nathan, my brother, my husband, Clara." I started, but she cut me off. "Don't," she said. "Just tell me how long." I told her everything, the words spilling out like poison. The night he came to my room, the bar, the months of hiding. She listened, her face crumpling with every word. When I finished, she didn't scream or rage. She just looked at me, her eyes empty. "You were my family," she whispered, then walked out. Elliot called me that night, frantic. "She's gone," he said. "She left a note saying she needs time." I felt hollow, like I'd lost both of them. "We did this," I said. "We broke her." He was silent for a long time. "I love you, Nathan," he said finally. "But I don't know if that's enough." Days turned into weeks with no word from Clara. I tried calling, texting, but she was a ghost. Elliot and I kept our distance, the weight of our choices too heavy to bear. I threw myself into my art, painting canvases filled with jagged lines and stormy colors, trying to make sense of the mess I'd made. Then, one rainy afternoon, Clara showed up at my door. Her eyes were red, but her voice was steady. "I'm not here to forgive you," she said. "But I need to understand." We talked for hours, raw and unfiltered. I told her about my love for Elliot, how it had blindsided me, how I'd fought it. She told me about her pain, her anger, her sense of betrayal. It wasn't closure, but it was a start. Months passed, and the wounds began to heal, though the scars remained. Clara and Elliot separated, a quiet agreement that left no one victorious. She moved to Seattle, chasing a fresh start, and we stayed in touch, rebuilding our bond one careful conversation at a time. Elliot and I tried to make it work, but the guilt shadowed us. Every touch reminded us of the cost. One night, sitting in my apartment, Elliot took my hand. "I want to be with you," he said. "But we need to do this right. No more secrets." I nodded, tears in my eyes. No more secrets. We took it slow, building something new from the ashes of our mistakes. We went to therapy, separately and together, unraveling the tangle of love and guilt. I started painting again, softer colors this time, landscapes of hope and redemption. Elliot left law, taking a job teaching at a community college, finding purpose in helping others find theirs. Clara visited a year later, her smile tentative but genuine. "I don't hate you," she told me over coffee. "I just needed time to find myself again." Her words were a balm, a reminder that love, even when it breaks, can mend. We weren't the same family we'd been, but we were still family, pieced together with honesty and forgiveness. Elliot and I moved in together, a small apartment in Queens with a view of the skyline. Some nights, I'd wake up, his arm around me, and feel the weight of our journey, the pain, the loss, the love that had survived it all. What happened that night, he snuck into my room, still haunts my dreams. Not as a nightmare, but as a turning point. It was the moment we chose truth over fear, love over shame. Our story isn't perfect. It's messy, human, flawed, but it's ours. And in the end, that's enough.